My family plays a game. Drawing from a series of books and movies we know very well, someone mentions a quote. The others of us are quick to identify the moment and continue the scene or phrase. John the Baptist does the same. I am the voice of one crying out in the desert, make straight the way of the Lord, as Isaiah the prophet said. While he doesn't give his listeners a chance to say, oh yeah, that was Isaiah, he does drop a quote that should have been familiar to those who read or heard the Old Testament scriptures from Isaiah chapter 40. His is the voice of one person calling from the wilderness, sharing an uncommon message, a challenge. To be a voice of one requires confidence, courage, and resilience. Often, the voice of one draws the spotlight, gaining notoriety. Being a voice of one can tempt one's ego. But John does not give in to temptation. He knows what he's about. He keeps his ego in check. I love John's example of humility. First, as he's introduced at the beginning of John's gospel, we are told he is supposed to testify to the light so that others may believe. It's not about him. He's not the main attraction. But still, John is getting plenty of attention. People are asking who he is. They name drop, thinking maybe he's the Christ or Elijah or the prophet. I can hear the awe in their voices. Who are you? I can also hear the attitude. Who do you think you are? John does not answer in the way they expect. He instead explains his mission. His task is to be the one crying out in the desert, alerting others to make straight the way of the Lord. He knows what he's about. He knows his mission. John could have falsely claimed that he was the Messiah or Elijah, inflating his own ego. He could have ridden the wave of attention, but he didn't. He was clear about pointing towards the one coming after him, the one far more important. Even untying the sandals of this one is too great an honor for John to claim. We are also called to point to Jesus with our lives. It's not about us. It's about our lives glorifying him. We can be tempted, like John, to claim to be someone we're not. But John gives us an example of humility. We are called to follow that example, to accept and embrace who we are, who God made us to be. There is a path the Lord has made for each of our lives, one that uses our gifts and talents to the fullest, to serve his kingdom, to glorify him. Yes, we can be tempted to stray from the path that God has designed uniquely for us. Yet, we are called to keep tending to that path, straightening, tidying, sweeping. We are called to ask God about the next right step on that path. And joy is waiting. Joy awaits us on the path that God has laid before our feet. Living the mission God has given each of us ushers joy into our life. Is it easy? No. Is it without struggle? No. When we start letting God navigate the path for us, does the way become clear to our eyes? Not necessarily. With this week's Gospel of John echoing last week's Gospel of Mark, John the Baptist reminds us of the importance of knowing what we are about in this moment, preparing for Jesus, stepping onto the path with him, embracing the mission he calls us to, and seeking joy.